Okay, hello guys, in another video. This time covering the game from LCK, Diamond Key versus Hama Life Esports. So, when it comes to drafts, Diamond Key drafted themselves really bot-centric drafts. As you can see, Varus and Karma versus Zeri and Rakan. Varus and Karma got incredibly strong laning phase, especially against champions like Zeri paired with Rakan. So that shows us that bot lane of Diamond Key is going to create a leads in this game. And to create these leads, they basically need to have a good environment, some wards, cover from the jungle on the slow pushes, because mainly we will talk about the slow pushes from the Diamond Key bot lane, are going to be necessary. So these leads can be different, right? This can be XP leads, this can be CS difference in favor of Varus, this can be plates, better recall timers, etc. So basically Diamond Key can choose any of these because they got full control over this lane in terms of 2v2. We get Talia that is kind of good to playing to the side lane. In that matter, she's kind of countered on because of the Tristana in terms of pushing the lane. Right, Tristana can take priority into the Talia, but Talia at level 6 is going to kind of cheat the possibilities of roaming, and at the same time Talia is good pick against the Tristana in terms of Tristana kill threat on you on the laning phase, right, because of the rocks. So in the end, Talia is a pick that's going to be mainly focused on supporting the bot lane. We got Wukong, so Wukong is the point of the draft that I don't necessarily like in the Diamond Key compositions. And this pick is really strong as Talia. These picks are really strong in current meta. But the problem with Diamond Key draft, because we got Jace on top, Diamond Key don't have really good face check champion, right? That can face check bushes or can be a front laner in this team comp. Of course, you can say that Wukong can be a play with his decoy, but this is not the tool that you need. So I think that Wukong is a power pick. It's really strong in current meta, but I don't think that in this draft you need the Wukong. You need to have the frontliner face checking tool, and your laners can create big enough leads to let you play the game. Of course, you can play it with Wukong, right? But it creates a lot of windows for the enemy to punish you, especially where enemy is going to have the first place on the objective. And in the end, we got Jace. Jace is not going to play against the Gragas on the top lane. It's basically the death matchup till level 6. At level 6, Gragas got some kill threat potential on you with his ultimate or with the Sejuani roaming towards him. But overall, it's that matchup, and no one really cares about this matchup too much. So that's about the Diamond Key draft in terms of the early game. Hama Life Esports, they drafted themselves a really big weak side on bot lane that is going to struggle 2v2. But when it comes to Diamond Key, the bot lane is their biggest strength. So when it comes to Hama Life Esports, their biggest strength is the Tristana with the Sejuani. And as I said, even if Tristana cannot make a really big threat into the Talia 1v1, Tristana can still take the priority, and this is kind of big in terms of trying to make the pressure on the Zeri not so hard from the Varus and Karma. Also, you get the Rakan on the bot lane. That is really good when you pair it with the mids and jungle that wants to play proactively in the early game. So I think these three champions are working really good in terms of the early game skirmishes, and this is what Hama Life Esports should look mainly. So skirmishes around the mid lane, and try to take this advantage and try to make life Zeri kind of easier, because obviously Zeri is scaling excellent and she can be your carry in the later stages of the game. We get Sejuani, as we said, providing some bigger pressure for the skirmishes in early game. She's also the tank frontliner, and we got Gragas on the top lane to give you some AP. Also great into the Jace. He's not going to give Jace a lot of leads in 1v1, and at the same time he's providing a lot with his ultimate. So to make a final statement in the early game, Diamondkey needs to focus on bot lane. They need to establish vision that won't allow the Hammer Life Esport to make any cheese on the bot lane. Wukong needs to path towards the bot lane. Bot lane got full autonomy, so Wukong can even take, like, you know, this maybe not full clear but longer clear, right? And in terms of Hammer Life Esports, they just want to play around this mid lane pressure with Rakan roaming towards the mid. They need to take a bullet at the start of the game because of the Zeri, but later on they just want to find the skirmishes. So when it comes to the neutral objectives, they are the Drakes, and both of the sides are really interested in contesting these Drakes, but both of the sides are going to force it in a different way. So in terms of Diamondkey, how they want to force these Drakes, it's basically they want to force the Drakes because of the advantage that they can take on the bottom lane, right? So sometimes they will be able to take the Drake when they force the enemy to take a bad recall. So they are taking the Drake at the moment when they are recalling. Varus and Karma are taking the Drake when the enemy is taking stacked wave under the tower, or they are taking the Drake when the enemy bot lane is low on resources and they cannot participate in this fight. So basically, the conclusion is your bot lane is essential for you to take the Drake, and you want to force the enemy to either not be able to participate from the bottom lane to this Drake, or force the enemy to, let's say, lose the waves on bottom, right, for participating into the Drake. So you just want to put the enemy into the position when they either they contest the Drake without, for example, Zeri, or they can contest with Zeri, but Zeri is losing a lot of XP and gold on the bottom lane, right? So this is the way that Diamondkey wants to focus on this Drake. And when it comes to the Hammer Life Esports, it's basically just through this mid priority, mid skirmishes. If they find window when Zeri is not under the pressure of losing something on bottom, they for sure should force this Drake plays, because they are stronger in terms of, let's say, this even skirmishes, right? When there is 4v4, no one is losing something, it's really clear for the Hammer Life Esport that they want to participate into the skirmishes, right? You got Sejuani, you got Tristana, you got Rakan. These champions are excellent in this, right? And as we said, the Diamondkey don't have good face checking tools, and if Wukong don't have his level 6, I think they definitely lose this even skirmishes or on the river, right? And in the end, how do these compositions want to play the mid game? So from the perspective of Diamondkey, they got the big range advantage. So all of the mid waves should belong to them, yeah, that's the word. Should belong to them in that game. So basically, they need to provide themselves this mid priority into the objective, secure division on the objective, right? So that enemy is forced to come to you, right, and face check this area. And this composition feels really good, just to poke the enemy and then try to get one target that is low and kill it, right? So this is basically how Diamondkey wants to play this mid game. They want to have these mid lane priorities. In terms of taking the towers, they got excellent siege, so they don't need to rush any dives. They just want to slowly take the towers. But when it comes to Hammer Life Esports, they want to take from the Diamondkey the spot. So basically, if the mid wave is going to be taken on even from both sides, and both sides are going to face check, right? This composition is actually better, especially when this area is online, because as we said, Diamondkey got struggle with face checking, and also if you are face checking and don't know where the enemy is, your poke is also not so good, right? You are not going to deliver so much damage because you are needs to use your skill shots in the spot when you don't know exactly where's the enemy. So in that terms, Hammer Life Esport composition can look for these fight skirmishes, can look for finding the pick, and also for Hammer Life Esports composition is just better in face checking, right? You got Sejuani, you got Gragas, so you got champions that are not going to actually die at the first burst. So This is really, really big, right? And in terms of playing for the towers, this is like composition that just wants to dive you, right? Just want to dive you, especially when you're playing in this big range advantage. You got Gragas, you got Sejuani, you got Tristana that can get reset on her jump, you got Rakan. This composition just wants to dive you, just wants to flank you. So it also comes to the controlling the terrain of the neutral objectives in the later stages of the game. So as you can see, Varus right now is going to place a pit ward, so they are aware that the bot lane can be only taken down by some kind of cheese, right? So they are playing correctly through, let's say, the preparation for playing aggressively on this bot lane, right? The games go, mid lane is going to be all the time priority for the Tristana in pure 1v1, so Tristana is using this priority to get information about the Wukong clear, right? And Zamonkey got full control over this bot lane. As you can see, Zeft is kind of faking putting this ward here, right? I don't know if they got information about him putting the ward into the Drake pits, but I believe they don't have this information. So he's faking putting this ward, and even if Deft could put this ward there, I don't think it's so incredibly important, because at the current wave state and the current HP disproportion, right, especially here, and the fact that you got really soon cover of the Wukong in the bottom side of the map, you're really safe even in taking 2v3, right, in this bottom lane. Nothing should happen, so you don't need to put this ward at this moment. So this is really well played from the Deft. I believe right now they are getting the call on the 4th wave. As you can see, Damonki got totally autonomy over this lane. They can do whatever they want. They are already forcing this area to take 4 potions. So what is going to happen? Zeri needs to take at some point negative recalls in that game, because she's just going to die under the turret and she'll just get even worse recalls. I don't think that this is the try to dive by the move of the Wukong, right? Because I think both of the sides understand that Damonki understands that Sejuani needs to be here covering this big wave crashing, because if not, and Damonki would understand, would get information that, for example, Sejuani is going somewhere here right now, let's say for this Scuttle, and they can even trade, let's say, life of the Karma or Wukong for the life of Zeri. And for Zeri, it's basically GG if she's losing this huge minion wave, right? So Sejuani needs to be there, and Wukong is using this window just to put deep ward on the Sejuani camps. And Zeri is going to be in need to take the negative recall, so lose a lot of creeps. So already the plan for the Damoki is looking kind of good. Nothing bad happened right now. And we got the second clear. I just want you to pay attention how well synchronized is it. Synchronized, I think this is the word in English. That whole map, maybe in expectation from the top lane, is working to play around this slow pushes from the Varus and Karma. So what you will see right now is that Wukong is basically taking his top camps the moment when Damonki bot lane is getting pushed. So there is literally no threat for them to get to get killed or something, right? And Talia is going to make a recall right now on the wave where Damonki is calling that on this wave they are going to stack this wave with this to make a slow push. So Talia with level 6 after recall will be ready to rotate towards the bottom lane, right, if this is necessary. Wukong is already in the bottom side of the map. So everything is working right now really perfectly for the Damonki. They are getting in a really good trades. So all working really fine for this point. And right now they for sure understood that Zeri had to take second bat recall, right? So in the almost 6 minutes of the games, we got like 2 negative recalls from Zeri, right? Not even 6, because if we consider only the waves, we can say like it's in the slightly more than 5 minutes of the game. Zeri had to take 2 bad recalls for her, right? Because right now Deft is going to push this wave. So Diamond Key is seeing the opportunity to start the Drake at this point, and Deft is pushing bottom lane, right? So someone could say that Deft should join taking the Drake to not take any risk that Hama Life Esports is going to force these skirmishes, because this is important. Diamond Key needs to understand, and for sure they understood, that Hama Life Esports needs to look for these skirmishes, right? But this spot actually is kind of good, because Deft is going to force Zeri, right, to stay under the turret, right? If she wants to, of course, get this gold and XP, right? And Tristana obviously is going to have another priority. And this is the moment when there's a kind of misplay from Diamond Key. Hama Life Esports decided to, take even bigger bullet for the Zeri, because with this move, they are kind of forcing Zeri to join this fight. So she needs to give up, I believe, 1/2 the wave or something like this. So it's kind of a lot. And if they don't take this Drake, they lost the Drake, and Zeri is not getting the XP and gold. So this is like the worst scenario that can happen in that game, right? But they understand that they got better skirmishes of the river. So if Zeri is going to give up this wave, there is a chance that they are going to win this. Wukong is still not level 6, right? So they still got this opening to play without his biggest power spike in early game. And they actually took the Drake, right? So at this point, I mean, you already see what is going to happen. But at this point, when Showmaker didn't flash in that spot, if we think about this, okay, Hama Life Esports got the Drake. This is not good, but in terms of bot lane, it's still looking really damn good. Varus still got a lot of sustain on this lane. Zeri is playing with, is going to play with big gold and experience difference, right? Because she's already losing the creeps here and experience and gold. So this is not the end of the world for Diamond Key. The end of the world is the moment if you flip the fight here and Zeri is going to take at least 1 kill. And this is actually going to happen. Showmaker is not hitting his combo. Of course, it would look different if he would hit it, right? Because Sejuani is without the flash, right? So if he hit it, it looks better. But basically, this is like the worst flip that could happen for the Diamond Key, right? And if Showmaker hits this, Sejuani is dead. Most probably, fight is over. But in the end, if Showmaker didn't make this move, the gameplay from the Diamond Key is not changing at all in terms of creating this lead from the bot lane. So this is really important to understand, that they lost the Drake, but if they don't flip it, Zeri is still in a really, really bad position to play this game, right? But unfortunately, this happens. Zeri is going to get 2 kills. She should be able to get a decent lane state right now, because Varus is in the base. And it's really tragedy, right? Because right now, Zeri don't really care about the waves that she lost under this turret. So the current state of the game, I would say that this is the worst scenario that could happen, because right now you basically don't have any advantage over the Zeri. So you basically cannot play so aggressive. You basically lost your huge potential in punishing Zeri on that lane. And right now, this is kind of weird positioning from the Deft, because they got information about Rakan going here. Also, Deft lost his flash, lost his clans in that fight. Kalin also don't have any summoners. And from the perspective of Hama Life Esports, they got almost all summoners at this point. So I think this positioning is kind of weird from the Deft, and it's kind of mispositioning. They also got these wards, and they are killing Valrus. And at this point, it's really hard for the Diamond Key to do something, because their draft was so heavy bot centric, and the bot lane is losing so heavily at this point of the game. They can't even make right now the Herald rotation that normally would take, right? If not this 2 kills for Tiseri, they would possibly be able to make this Herald rotation, take Herald, maybe take the tower or pressure the tower, but right now they lost this possibility. So at this point I would say that Diamondkey just needs to wait, play around the Varus ultimates, try to get a pick on one of these champions in the fights that's going to happen, try to utilize their range advantage because they still got this in that game, but it won't be so easy right now because Zeri is going to be online really early on in this game. But you cannot make these mistakes like Kellen is doing right now. He got 2 lanes that are not going to give him support, right? So we got push of the Tristana. I believe that there is a Zeri having also the push into this Varus, or this wave is slightly slow pushing towards the Zeri. But none of these lanes can have the move to help Karma, and Wukong is recalling at this point, so you cannot go pretty deep into this jungle. You maybe can make a ward on the pixel bush, but you cannot go so deep at this point of the game. You are just delivering free kills for the enemy that already got big advantage in the skirmishes, as you can see. This is the game that Hammerlife Esports wants to play. And here is another like weird decision from Diamondkey. I mean, maybe not weird decision because the previous decision have something like, you know, it could actually work, right? At least in some of them. But Diamondkey right now is going to contest these heralds, but they don't have like environments to contest these heralds at all, right? Jace went to base, he don't have TP, so Gragas is going to take full control over this wave, right? And bottom lane of the Hammerlife Esports can take the priority at this point, so they can make rotation towards the heralds. Tristana is going still to have push advantage, especially with the bottom lane push. Talia cannot make any aggressive plays on this mid wave. And what is the biggest of us? I believe that there is a ward on the herald. So the opponents already know that the herald is taken. And it's really weird for me that Wukong is actually trying to end this herald at this moment of the game. The only thing that I can imagine, Wukong was thinking that Sejuani is not here, so he might try to rush it, but it's like still really weird because he's delivering 3 heralds for the opponents, right? At this point. I think that's the biggest way that Diamondkey should play it is look for the moment when the Hammerlife Esports feels to be greedy, you know, and have a vision here. So the moment when Hammerlife Esports is going to contest these heralds, right? So this is the moment when if there is bots, you want to shut down this Zeri, you know, because Hammerlife Esports are currently in the spot of the game when they shouldn't allow to get cross map, right, for the herald, right? Because you don't want to lose your Zeri when you can all the time force these heralds. Because Hammerlife Esports are in the position when these heralds should be free for them in this minute, and in another 2 minutes it should be also free for them, right? They are much stronger in the current state of the map. But if they tunnel vision on this herald, this is the moment when actually Diamondkey can punish it and should play for the cross map play to the bottom side of the map, right? And this should be the call from the Diamondkey to get the shutdown from this area, try to get more plays for the Varus, try to get him back to the game. Herald is really quickly used, but it's basically used for making the pressure on the mid, of course taking some plays for the Tristana, right, and for the Sejuani, but mostly to create the pressure point to take control over the Drake area, and this is going to happen, right? And this is impossible right now for the Diamondkey composition. I mean, they are trying kind of to flip it, right, as you can see. And I think this fight actually is going to be won by them. Yeah, it was actually really close, and I believe they're going to kill the Clades. But in the end, I just believe that Hammerlife Esports are kind of mispositioning in this fight. right? The Rakan is getting the full damage from the Wukong ultimate. And this is also unfortunate because Cleat is going to jump here and he can kill Karma, but Karma is really irrelevant at this spot of the fight, right? So the two biggest damage source right now are still can hit you. So Cleat was inactive to hit them, and right now he's trying to kill Showmaker, but Showmaker is getting the flash and they are going to get the Cleat. So in the end it worked out for the Diamond Key, even if they lost the Drake. I believe this fight should be really hard for them to win, but they actually won, right? So this is something that can slightly get them back to the game with this gold, but it's definitely not like, you know, decisive. It's not such a big deal, but it's definitely good for the side that was losing. So we're getting to the third strike, and there were some things in the game, like some kills, but I just want to focus like on the most, let's say, important or good play things, maybe, or the biggest mistakes. So right now, obviously, Hamalive Esports want to contest this third strike, and this is really good to focus on the top lane for what Kragas is doing at this point. They for sure know that Jace is not having the TP at this point, right? And they got pushed to the side lane from the Tristana. Yes, so they got pushed both of these side lanes right now, and Jace is not having the TP. So Kragas is staying for the next wave, right? To keep the Jace on it under the tower when he's still having the TP advantage. So that means that on this play, the Hamalive Esports understands that, again, the Diamond Key will lose something right now on the top if they want to commit Jace here, and at the same time, if Kragas is going to TP here, he's going to be always quicker than the Jace, right? Because I believe they are going to see the Jace on this minion vision right here. So they understand that they can pull the trigger right now because they are in the man advantage. Their skirmish is much stronger on this point. It was incredibly good TP from the Kingen side. And the Drake is for them, right? So it was really good showcase of how to utilize this side lane pressure or TP advantage, right? Not gonna lie, that looks really cool. So this is kind of weird in those points. This is going to be a mistake from Hamalive Esports. Basically, I do believe that Hamalive needs to make mistake to give the Diamond Key the possibility of winning the game. In the current state of the game, with these champions, with the Diamond Key not having any tools to face check, any tools to tank, I think it's almost impossible for this draft to win against this. Bless you. Bless you. To win against this draft. So Diamond Key needs to look for the misplace from the Hamalive Esports, and they need to punish it, right? So at this point, we got the man advantage from Hamalive Esports around the mid lane. They took proactively this wave, and I do believe they understand that there is from 2 to 4 people around the top lane, right? So Diamond Key got advantage of the man in this side of the map, and Hamalive Esports got advantage in this part of the map. So what should happen here is that Zeka is respecting the opponents being here, and he's waiting for the mid to top rotation, right? Because the mid waves are going to come faster, right? So if they took it really quickly, they should always be like one step ahead, right, of this side taking this wave. So he should just try to receive this wave, and if the opponent is trying to get this wave, then the mid lane priority should come here, and they should force the fights to force the Jace to have the TP and maybe lose this mid wave. But Zeka is not patient enough, and he's not waiting for his mid wave move, right? And he's just going to be dead, right, at this point. Imagine if Zeka is just waiting gently here, and his team is closer to him. This is just going to be insta collapse. Even if they kill Zeka, there are going to be 4 champions that are going to jump on them. Because right now, Diamond Key used cooldown or the Varus ultimate, and they used the combo of Talia to kill them. So if Hamalive Esport are going to go on these cooldowns, right? On this cooldown for sure, but on the cooldowns on the Talia, there is no way that they can lose the fight, right? I mean, Hamalive Esports. But Zeka made a mistake, and I'm not sure that this is going to be Herald for the Diamond Key. I believe they just respect it, right? That they got the kill, but they still cannot contest it. And yeah. So the timer to the Drake, I believe it's 3 minutes right now. So there is only going to be Baron Nashor on the map. So right now, what is going to happen is that both of the teams are going to fight. I mean, not all the teams, but both the teams are going to kind of look for the move from the side lane, because both of the teams need to look for the control of this area. Or from the perspective of Diamond Key, I don't believe that they can actually control this area, but at least they cannot let the Hamalive Esports to feel in this area so free that they can start Baron, and basically they can turn into the Diamond Key when they seize them. So what's going to happen? That's both of the side lanes where they have pushed, they should look for the move towards the mids to make this fog pressure on them, numbers advantage here, right? And try to regain some vision. Most probably Hamalive Esports are going to take this because they got like really big leads at this spot of the game. So they should just set up the vision in the enemy jungle, top jungle, right? Wait for the move of the Gragas. Right now they are recalling because the opponent completely don't have any information about the position, so they cannot just run into this jungle, right? So this is the good timer for the resets to get again the wards. As you can see, Gragas is taking the side lane and he's instantly right here fogging. And again, if he feels that he can take this wave, he's going to take this wave. And again, he can fog, right? And at this same time, Hamalive Esports are just fighting to keep this vision around the Baron Nashor. So, as you can see, they identify, they got good vision enough, they got move from Gragas into there. So they shouldn't flip this, because flipping this is the worst case scenario. This is the only way that Diamond Key can back to the game. So when they see some opportunity to engage, they should just do it. They should just engage on the enemy. And if they don't see enemy right now on this good setup vision, they basically then can end this Baron Nashor, right? So as you can see, they are not flipping it. I think most of the teams from the lower leagues would just, okay, let's flip it. But Hamalive Esports are, okay, let's don't flip it, let's play gently. They are utilizing excellently the move from the Kingen, from the side lane. And right now, they can actually take this Baron, right, with the numbers advantage. But still, they are not getting the opportunity for the flip. And this was really good contest of the Baron Nashor, right? Many teams I think can learn a lot from this small part of this review, how to make it, and just don't flip it if you are advantage. This is the only moment of the game that you can lose the game if you have such a big advantage and your composition is only getting better, right? This is the only moment of the game. So force the enemy to make these risky moves into you, to face check the bushes, then you can just turn on them, utilize the side pressure to the mid so that you have the numbers advantage, then pull the trigger, kill 1 or 2 enemies, take the Nashor. If the opponent is coming to you, then they are forcing 4v5, and then you do this again. And right now you are killing all of them, for example, if they are going to all in to you, right? This is just as simple. Okay, and I think this is the last thing from this game, because this is going to be kind of stomp. There will be Elder in the end and the second Nashor, but I want to focus on how Hamalive Esports are utilizing this Nashor play. So Gragas took the previous wave, and he's roaming mid to take this mid wave. And the rest of Hamalive Esports are going to take for this wave here and force this tier 2 tower. So it's really important to see how Life Esports are moving on the map right now. Right now, they understand that Jace can actually try to trade this tier 2 tower for the pressure on this side of the map, and possibly this tier 2 tower or this tier 2 tower, or both of them, right? So Gragas is receiving the mid wave, and the Life Esports are forcing the tier 2 tower, right? But after this, after ending this display, right, they see, okay, don't force this play more at this point. There is another, let's say, not so big mid wave, right? But there's no bot wave right now to take. So they are going to shift Gragas towards the top to defend or kill the Jace for taking this tower. And the rest of them are just going to safely buff here, right? Because they will have full vision and full knowledge about this part of the enemy team, because they need to receive this wave, right? And they got full control here. They should at least take one ward here when they were moving, if they can. But they are shifting really nicely. I believe Tristana is going back to the base, yeah, right now, just to kill the Jace. As you can see, we are having some wards right now put, so that they will get more information about the enemy moves. And right now they are taking the mid wave that Gragas left for them, and they are going to kill the Jace, right? So they are not getting the opponents the chance to have this tower for free, right? You need to take your life. And at the same time, when they rotated towards the Jace, as you can see, they didn't lose this pressure, right? They didn't overstay bots. They used this information that opponent is here. They rotated towards the mid. They take the mid wave right now, and they got another move, let's say, to take the top wave, right? So their move or the math is really good at this point. Okay, and I think that's today. That's all for today. I'm trying to make these reviews as short as possible with the most important knowledge that I can tell. So feel free to comment below and tell me your opinion about this review, about this game, etc., etc. And see you soon.